Alrighty, traders. This is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. Hope everybody's having a great trading session, and it has been kind of slow. I think everybody's waiting for Powell. Just watching crude oil, make a move here. Now, I'm going to stop really quick with crude, even though crude is not something that I tend to watch all the time, but I think this is a pretty important chart. So this is the 4-hour chart. I think it's important for the bears that we hold these levels. As you can probably see, this is really a perfect like head and shoulder topping pattern if we can hold current levels. There is an OPEC meeting right now. I think there's a lot of expectations, but the one thing that you have to also imagine is, crude is getting to that price, and I'm going to speak on the behalf of like just a consumer. And I know prices are going higher. You hear about inflation and all this, but I speak as a consumer when I go, I just think over the last year, I've watched gas prices rise by 30 or 40% at the pump. And, as a consumer, that probably weighs on people, like their spending habits. Right. So the reason why I point this out is because I'm just trying to take it from the standpoint of a consumer, and OPEC's got to be aware of that. And they're going to get to a price where they're going to get to a place where they look at price and they say, okay, price is too high, where it might start to crimp demand. And we need to be a little careful of that. You know what I mean? So I point that out because I do think that crude prices have direct impacts on gas, RBOB, and gas prices and consumer demand moving forward, right? So the reason why I'm also focused on this is because if we can form a head and shoulder pattern here, I am really, really looking for the US dollar Canadian to reverse higher. You know what I'm saying? I'm really looking for the US dollar Canadian to actually break out of this inverted head and shoulder pattern itself above 127.50 and get really bullish. But I can't do that, or I take that back. I have a hard time doing that with crude oil not breaking down. So in essence, what I'd like to see in crude happen, something like this, and eventually break that trend line. Excuse me. And then that would lead to the dollar Canadian, well, amongst other things, that would lead to this dollar Canadian actually moving. But we're not there, and it's important not to get too overly excited about something without getting some evidence going the other direction. Now, one thing I do want to point out is the dollar Mexican peso is actually holding up really well once again. I know it seems like I say that every day, but I have to point that out because if you're short, you're going, why isn't this thing coming down? Stocks have bounced. Well, I guess stocks really haven't bounced. Maybe that's the whole reason why. But I look at the dollar Mexican peso, and I've got to think if I was short, which I'm not, I'm long. But if I was short, I'd probably be like, not too comfortable with that. All right, so since we're here, let's talk about it. 2105. Big resistance, right? Okay. I'm going to put us on bullish. I really have to put us on bullish. I mean, while we're above this 38% retracement, I just have to because it's just not coming down. It just isn't. I mean, yeah. So, all right. So support, like yesterday, 2048. And let's just imagine we do break higher. Where do we go? 200-day moving average, right? That is at 21. 21.17. So you got to be aware of that, and just in case we break out and you're like, oh crap, I'm gonna miss it, just realize that the 200-day moving average is right up there. Okay. Let's go over to the euro. So the euro is trading heavy today, and by the way, if you're looking around at your notifications on ForexAnalytix and you're like, wow, I haven't seen a lot of, am I missing all the alerts or charts or updates coming through? No, you're not, because just nothing's been happening. I mean, it's been a really quiet night. I mean, this is, since I went to bed, this is a good way to explain it. And this is the euro since I went to bed last night. I mean, the euro's had like a 40 pip trading range, and that's been a big mover, right? So if you're looking around and saying, I just haven't seen a lot of notifications via ForexAnalytix, that's the reason why. The things that are moving are the Swissy and the yen, and the euro is just moving down because the Swissy keeps moving higher. That's it. But as you can see, the euro is approaching what I would consider as being pretty key support around the 120 level. So let's just write down 120, resistance at 121.15, which is the 50% retracement. That's capped us. So we're going to write down both those numbers, and maybe Powell can move us out of this range. Whoops. Okay. Cable. I put this chart up there because in the chat room, because just looking at the inverted head and shoulder crown. Actually, you know what? I think I sent it out too. I did. Yeah, I did. Okay, so just because it's a setup. Now, it's not bullish until it is. Yeah, and I want you guys to know I'm overall a sterling bull. I am. I'm actually short sterling by being long euro pound right now, but overall I'm pretty bullish the sterling. But I'm mixed on the dollar right now, so I don't really have much of an opinion here. I do think that 140, whatever the spike high is, 140.05. Has to break. Or if we break below 139.10, anybody who's bullish is going to be a little bummed out. So I'm just going to write down those numbers, and hope, like I said, hopefully Powell gets us out of these ranges today. I'm really hoping for that. Aussie. Now, bear flag pattern, but I think what's more important than anything right now is this upsloping trend line. So that means this low here, really important, but that also means this low from last night is going to be important, which is 77.50. So I'll write 77 cents. What's key? 0.7750. And then resistance is right there at the 50% retracement. And then also what might be happening in the Aussie, and this could be happening too, just intraday. If you guys are trading Aussie, like scalping around Aussie intraday, maybe keep an eye on that little triangle that's developing. But I'm more concerned with resistance here, 78.40. Kiwi. Same thing as the Aussie, but the Kiwi's trading a little heavier. And this is, if you're trading the Aussie, you got to be paying attention to this. This is my chart of the day yesterday. But man, I'd be a little worried here because the Kiwi is really trading heavy. All right, so support or resistance at 77 or 72.75. I'll write that down. As you guys know, support is 72, well, it's 72.10. That's super important. It's the spike low here, but you know, if we break that, that means we're breaking below this trend line, right? Dollar Canadian, same as yesterday. Support, I'm going to go all the way down to 125.80, which is the 618, basically. 125.80. Resistance intraday. I mean, you got the hourly here, maybe 127, then 127.50. You guys know that, and that 127.50 is pretty key because that's when that inverted head and shoulder pattern plays out. So 127, 127.50. That one's critical. Okay, Swissy, this damn thing's so strong, and I know if you're trading, if you're long the euro, this is the one thing that I'd be looking at, going, damn, you know, they could really crush the euro if the Swissy keeps ripping like this. I mean, I look at it, I'm thinking, man, we got to stop soon, but do we? I mean, what if we break 93.50, 93.80? This is by the way, big trend line, broken trend line. Imagine if we start breaking this level. I mean, next thing you know, we might trade up. I mean, you think about it. I don't see, looking at it, I don't see why we can't get to 95 and change. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to do that, but I mean, if that happens, what does the euro do? Right? I mean, we could have Dimitri said Euro Swiss is strong. Correct. Euro Swiss is strong, but I'm just saying that they are. I guess you could go look at the Euro Swiss and say, okay, well, where is this one going to stop? I mean, the Euro Swiss has had a massive breakout, but if you look at maybe something like this, this would be minimum target, I think. I mean, we've reached already, and so I guess the Euro Swiss should probably find some resistance soon. And we're just past the 38% retracement, enough to stop out everybody. So, maybe the Euro Swiss actually consolidates. That means that the euro is going to move with the Swissy, right? I mean, opposite of it, inversely. So I'm not saying that's going to happen just at this moment. I'm just saying that now we have to mine support at 92 cents, since that was a breakout on the way up. 92 cents of support. Resistance is 93, because that's the high right there. 92.95. So 92 to 95. Remember, this has been one of the only currencies that I've had in bullish. Same with the dollar yen. And I was just sitting there looking at the dollar yen in the chat room. If you guys aren't in there, I was just sitting there going, I'm bullish dollar yen, but it's got to be a fade somewhere. But then again, is it? So resistance at 108.06, which is the 618 of this move. This is the post-COVID move. Okay. And then support, you can see these are previous highs here. So this should now offer support right through there. And that comes in at 107. So dips down to 107 should be supported. Resistance, 108, was that 108.05? I think it is 108.05, but let me just double check. 06, it's fine. And bullish. Okay, dollar index. There it is. That was right below where I was just looking. Okay, so dollar index, I mean, holding up well. That I think we wrote this down yesterday, but we'd have to give it all the way down to 90.35. Let me double check that. What did we have yesterday? 90.50. 90.55. I would, since Powell's speaking today, we had 90.55 because that was the 50% retracement. Since Powell is speaking today, I'd give it all the way down to 90.35, which is basically the 618. Okay. So we're going to just widen that just a little bit. 90.35. That should be pretty good support on the way down. Resistance, the 91.40. US dollar, Norwegian krona. This is, I think OPEC's weighing on this a little bit, but same thing here as yesterday. 618 held. So I'm actually going to write down the spike low here, which is 844 roughly. Resistance. I mean, I'll write down 865, but I don't think we're going to get there today. I mean, we may. Who knows? Okay. Oh, yeah, S&P's got a little bit of a bid going on. Okay. Sorry, the market's just open. NASDAQ spiking up.
The market just opened, then we're going higher. That's a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, they buy it every day. they buy the market every single day. There's nothing new here. Okay. Aussie's, bouncing. So dollar's under a little bit of pressure right now as the market is opening. Okay, let's go back over to our analysis. I know Stelios is just, it's like it's Groundhog Day every day.
Yep.
Every day. Gold and silver. Let's take a look at gold and silver because gold has been heavy. We are stabilizing today. But look, I mean, when I look at price action like this, I think of this. When I look at price action like this, okay, no one really wants to own gold right here. It's like if gold was such a good value at this 127% extension, why haven't we bounced already? We've been just spending way too much time here, which then leads me to believe that we're probably heading lower. So the 618 retracement of this entire move here, this entire move comes in at 1670 or 1690. So roughly, I'm going to write that down. I mean, because we're basically on the 127% extension. So 1690 is support. Resistance, while we're below 1760, you got to stay bearish. You just have to. And silver, I mean, I know we're holding up a little bit here, about right at 26, but look at this. This is a big trend line. Let's go over to the daily. I mean, if you read the basic technical analysis every day in silver, you know that this trend line's here. And matter of fact, the low was 25.59. Just so you guys can read it. If the 26 level is broken, this is last night. If the 26 level is broken, we could see a move below the trend line at the 125.50 level, which would be bearish if broken. So basically, looking for that support, that trend line basically needs to hold. We held it. We didn't make it to 25.50. We basically made it to 25.59 and then bounced back. So that shows you that the reason why this is all important is because it shows you how important this trend line support is now. It's really important. And if it breaks, then, and if you're bullish silver, you got to be a little careful because we could see, I know Stelios and I talked about this yesterday or the day before. We could see the mid 20s, or I'm sorry, 22, 20, like 200-day moving average. This is all doable.
Yep. Stocks are flying, by the way. Don't know what's
they
driving
are.
it.
What is new? It's that everybody's buying because they know what Powell's going to say, and they know what he's going to do. I mean, do you think he's going to change? Why would he change his tune today?
Yeah, very unlikely. Very unlikely.
That's what everybody's thinking. Everybody's like, I'm going to continue to buy stocks because I have every reason to buy stocks because Powell's giving me every reason. So resistance for silver, I think, is right here. Previous support, previous support, previous support. I know we got a little spike low right there. Resistance, resistance, resistance. That is going to be at 26.75. I think that we should watch that. All right. Bitcoin. Still finding resistance up here, 52,000. We did spike up to the underside of the trend line to 52 and to the 618. It's 52,667. I mean, we basically hit 52,700. Guess what? That is resistance. Support 44, then 42,000, but I think intraday 47,200 is support. And that's probably all we need to worry about today. And it remains bullish. S&P. So, false breakdown overnight. So that means 37.90 is really key. Probably going to find resistance right here at 38.70. I don't know how many times over the last couple of weeks I've written down 38.70, but it's a pretty big. I mean, here, this is why 38.70 is so big, right? Resistance, resistance, support, 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 resistance, support, support. It's probably going to be resistance on the way back up again. False breakdown overnight should lead us to higher, and that's because everybody loves Powell. Market's favorite cheerleaders coming right up. All right, so there's your bias chart. It's finished. And Stelios, there you go.
I've taken it already. Thank you.
All right. I mean, it's uninspiring until Powell speaks, and we know what's going to happen. So I'm assuming you buy dips right now.
Well, it's the game that works until it stops working.
Right.
So, yeah.
And that is buy dips. Powell's supportive. The Fed is supportive. We're getting a stimulus package coming through. Nothing really different here, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know if Steve is here. Is Steve, you here?
He's here. I see him.
Oh, guys, sorry, I'm not here.
Okay. Bye.
Good. All right. Well, guys,
See you all tomorrow.
I'm going to relieve myself of duties because I'm going to get in the chat room and I'm going to go get rid of my coffee that is not good anymore, and let you guys take over the barrel of fun, because obviously this market's not going to do a lot until Powell speaks, which is going to be in about 2.5 hours from now. So
lucky us for the next 2.5 hours.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Thank you, Blake.
Thanks. Enjoy, everybody. Have a great one. And thank you all for your continued support of ForexAnalytix. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Blake.
Bye-bye, mate.
So what's changed since FACE? The main thing is that the news we got out of OPEC is that the Saudis are quite reluctant to reverse their cuts, or basically to reduce the cuts, and that's why oil is screaming higher yet again. And obviously, this is another tailwind for stocks and risk assets, because they like that. And we're all waiting.
We had said in advance, Stelio, that as long as this channel holds,
Yeah.
you know, there is still no bearish event here in
Absolutely.
in crude oil.
Absolutely.
Having
And,
said that, clearly buying up here, you know, I mean, yeah, doesn't make much sense, right?
but we're in no man's land now. We're in the middle.
Yeah.
Getting close to those highs. Yeah, it probably doesn't make sense. The other thing that happened is that we got jobless claims came in roughly as expected, 750K. And I was looking at the charts and the data, and we're almost now at the full 52 weeks of, over. Well, the first few weeks were disasters. There were millions, but we're now a year where we've had over, let's say, 700K per week. And
but nobody worries about it because people get money they haven't worked for to actually consume.
Yeah.
For products they haven't actually created.
Yeah, that's true. And for a big number of people, they're getting paid more than to do nothing when they were working. So it's
first of all, it's the epitome of moral hazard.
Moral hazard. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, I totally understand this is unprecedented circumstances. Bypassing the obvious thing we've said in the past, that if this economy was healthy, people would have had savings for a rainy day, right? So the government wouldn't need to support everybody. But given where we are, I do understand, and given how they've effed up the economy, I do understand that people need support. There's no question about it. But at least if you are to create a scheme like that, you at least need to make sure that you don't compensate people more for not doing something than for doing something, right? So it should be, for example, it should be like, a number, but capped at, let's say, 80% or 75% of what you made for not working.
Yep. No, absolutely. So that's where we are right now. We're waiting for Powell. And like Blake said, I don't expect him to say anything different. Why should he say anything different? Why should he destabilize the markets? Because, if he does say something different one way or another.
I think still we're at the point that perhaps not saying something is going to prove enough for stocks to turn lower. I wasn't, I wasn't back yet. So, for example, we saw the RBA double its quantitative easing a few days ago. It was on Sunday night, I think, Monday morning. So, perhaps the market is hoping or waiting or expecting Powell to also, in essence, photograph that, there is more stimulus, there is more assistance on the way. And perhaps, if they don't get that, that might, disappoint some of the market participants that might be, pricing in or hoping or wishing for, some extra boost here.
Yeah. Yes. So I don't have anything else to say. Unfortunately, it's still a non-event today, and we'll wait to see what happens.
Okay.
So let's look at some crosses. Maybe I don't know what are we being asked.
Yeah. Any specific requests? Where should we start from?
Simon says, "Be stimulated and enjoy your nachos." in the dip. Yeah. No, I don't see anything.
Purely technically speaking, and I've said in the past that it is interesting how many times announcements or fundamental events seem to goes so well and pair up so nicely with technicals, without implying that technicals produce fundamental developments. Technicals just show the market sentiment, and in essence, it shows a market disposition or expectation. So many times that's why it goes together. I would have to say that I I see the dollar consolidating with a likely tendency of moving higher from here if Powell doesn't really push it the other way, because I see a short-term consolidation after this move higher here in the DXY. As I was saying yesterday, I think the cable so far is producing kind of a textbook correction to this sharp move lower. So I would expect one more leg to the downside. You can even see it more or less in the euro, but I think in the cable, technically speaking, it looks much cleaner. Same argument can be made here about the Aussie. You can see it there. Same argument can be made about the Kiwi. A very, very strong move lower. And so far, we've been consolidating these recent losses. And I think that probably this is not enough of a corrective move lower. So without being able to predict what Powell is going to say, even worse, without even being able to predict how the market is going to react, because more or less, and it's been escalating since the regime change of how central banks have been handling things in 2008. It's been getting more and more unpredictable how the market is going to react to something. I mean, in the past, if somebody could, all of you have probably seen like Back to the Future, like two, with the obnoxious guy that had the almanac of all the winner lotteries, and like he made a fortune of
His
himself.
name was Biff Tannen.
Biff Tannen, yes.
Actually, Buford Tannen, but they call him Biff.
Yeah, and they call him Biff. So, in the past, if somebody told you, what you're going to be having to do with, economic prints and news, etc., you would be able to make literally a fortune, because it was extremely easy to predict how the market would react, to its announcement, etc. Now we are in uncharted territory because economic data have started mattering a lot less. Before that, we went through a period that everything had been completely inverted. So there was a period that at least you could make money, because good news would be bad for stocks almost always, and bad news would be almost always good for stocks. Now we've gone more to a period that it's a mixed bag. Sometimes good news can be taken from the market as market positive, sometimes market negative. So even if they tell you what Powell is going to say later, unless it's something like very, very specific that you can, I mean, if it's like, yeah, we're thinking of increasing quantitative easing, yeah, okay, that's going to be stock positive. But if it's like a neutral speech, with some hints, no idea how the market is going to take it. In any case, as I said, it looks like the dollar wants to at least make one more leg to the upside. So I don't know if Powell is going to end up being the catalyst for that. Might be the case. But we'll soon find out. Having to do with the metals, gold consolidating at the 127% extension of this move. Needless to say, we might see a little bit more downside, or a little bit more than a little bit. Silver trading below this channel. So this opens the door for more weakness. Nothing has changed, though, in my opinion, still clearly in a corrective pattern. Same applies with platinum, palladium slipping. Now, copper is interesting for two reasons, and I wanted to show that before. I actually wanted to chart it here. I was looking at it earlier. So look at this in copper. I think it's interesting because we now got this move lower, which at the lows of the day perfectly retested this channel. Okay, somebody can view this clearly as a bull flag, right? also perfectly retested the broken ascending triangles trend line resistance as support. The reason I'm saying this is because let's delete all that.
Hey, Steve, while you're doing that, just a friendly reminder, we
Yeah,
have our
mate.
Spanish webinar in an hour.
Oh, yeah,
or in
yeah,
10
yeah.
minutes. Okay.
Thank
Just
you,
letting
mate.
you know.
Yeah, thank you. So the reason I think that's important is, technically speaking, there is a chance that we might have found a low here, right? Alternatively, technically speaking, if we break through the low of the day today, which, as I said, it was an interesting confluence of supports, I think we're looking at a much deeper corrective move. So, in essence, treat this as a pivot area, right? Nickel, taking it up the chin once again, just look at this massive, massive move, right? Even gapped lower and, just continued lower. So keep that in mind. We've now broken through this ascending channel, so we're definitely looking for a deeper correction here. That, that makes it a little bit more concerning for the bullish case in copper. Not that they're like all the time extremely correlated, just, making a point here. Let me go through your questions very fast because, as Blake said, Mondays, Thursdays, as we've said before, we have the Spanish webinar, so we need to wrap it up a little bit sooner. Guys, is there a platinum ETF you trade, recommend? No, I've never traded an ETF.
I have traded PPLT, but
PPLT, okay, thank you, Stella.
I trade it very rarely, platinum. So it's not. I'm not an expert. I know silver ETFs a lot better. Yeah.
Okay. DAX, nothing has really changed here. So far, it looks bullish. You can see here, right? We had one bull flag, now another one. Now, admittedly, momentum is definitely not looking good, right? You can see it here. But, has it really reversed? I mean, has it done something that can be characterized like as a bearish reversal? No. In no case something like that has happened. So I wouldn't be buying it, but would I be selling it with what I see at the moment? No way. No way. We need to see something totally different to open up the downside. AA, Mara, mRNA, platinum, more dip.
AA is Alcoa Aluminium, I think.
Yeah.
Alcoa, yeah.
We had traded it at some
Okay.
point. If
Let's go on for 2 more minutes and then we have to stop. Okay.
Not much to say about this. As you see, I had started it in the past because at some point we had traded this. It looks bullish. I more care about the momentum. I think it's a very impulsive move. Having said that, look at the RSI divergences, meaning I'm not implying you should be buying it here. I think you should be buying this, but after a proper corrective move lower. Okay. So at some point we're going to have a proper corrective move lower, and that's where you should be buying. But I do think that it's a buy. 26 is definitely the first interesting area of support, definitely. But it's also about how it gets there, as we said before, mate. Right. So if it goes to 26 like in 2 days, and it's like plunging like nobody's business, clearly 26 is not the level you're looking at. Now, if it slowly and correctively moves towards 26 and it seems to stall there, then yes, 26 might be a very good level to buy. But don't be surprised even if you see a move towards 18, right? That was a pretty big move to the upside. So it might go in an orderly fashion towards like 16 to 18, that area, and then like explode higher once again. So keep that in mind. One more, mRNA. We're checking that and we're calling it a day, and then tomorrow. So mRNA, beautiful. Look at this. This RSI divergence played out beautifully. Definitely an explosive move higher, right? Undoubtedly. I think there is probably more downside before upside, right? Definitely a very bullish market if you look at the long-term structure, but it's very dangerous to try to catch a falling knife at the moment. We probably need to correct even two alternatives here. Or either we need to go deeper, having to do with price, or we need to correct a longer period of time before we can move higher. So I think I shouldn't be, you shouldn't be buying it yet, in my opinion. Okay, Stel, Blake, and everybody
you,
else.
Steve.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.